A lot of people already assume that Loki's devil fruit relates to Fenrir, and aside from the Norse myth connections to Loki, I think the dog symbolism Oda uses throughout almost the whole series offers a compelling case. So, a strange thing happens when you start paying attention to dogs in One Piece. They show up everywhere, sometimes not as literal dogs, but as this running idea of loyalty, protection. And I think Oda keeps circling around that idea whenever he's dealing with characters who feel pulled between what they are and what they want to be. That's what makes Loki so interesting. Our level of understanding of Elbaph's legendary devil fruit is basically jack shit, but the story keeps nudging us towards a dog pattern, I feel. Loki grows up making friends with the wolves of the underworld, feared for a prophecy he got drafted to without consent, and locked away like he's some kind of disaster waiting to happen. Those images stack pretty clearly that it's hard not to wonder if Oda is pointing towards something Fenrir adjacent with Loki's devil fruit. But the bigger point isn't the myth reference, it's the role dogs already play in the story. They aren't symbols for good or evil, they're just symbols for instinct and loyalty, protection, and the struggle not to be defined by how the world sees you. You got the Marines, who are basically the world government's golden retrievers, fetching orders without blinking. And Oda doesn't stop there. We got Inarashi, whose subordinates, the Musketeers, are straight up inspired by the Three Musketeers, with their core brand being loyalty. And let's not forget Harald and Garp, who in the God Valley flashback played their own unique dog roles. Harald basically rebrands himself as the world government's good boy, convinced that the only way to atone for the ancient giant's sins and make Elbaf thrive in peace is to ditch his autonomy, bend over backwards, and play the role the world government handed him. By the way, did you know that the Japanese word for prostration, not the other word, which is a formal way of kneeling or bowing to express an apology, reference, or to ask a favor, is called dogeza. Dogeza. Dog. It's got the word dog in it. Also, Loki's life actually has dog in it too. Forgot about that. Then there's Garp, who adopts the guard dog image in order to protect the little guy from his dog hat, his dog ship, dog everything. I mean, it's been right there from the start. But as proven by Ace, this decision had a price. He lost the freedom to protect his own family. He couldn't choose both the Marines and Ace. Also, Yamato's devil fruit abilities embody the Okuchi no Makami, which is a real-world deity that is a wolf, but also in the context of One Piece is a Wano guardian deity. And the same ideas of loyalty and protection are completed by Chow Chow, or Shushu, whichever you prefer, the dog from Oristown who, one could argue, started the whole dog symbolism since the beginning of the story by watching over his late owner's store. So if Loki's devil fruit is all about dogs, in particular Fenrir, wouldn't it be interesting to ask how his character arc could mirror Fenrir's? Or even better, how can we flip the script and give Fenrir, through Loki, a happy ending instead of the usual Greek mythology doomist path? And it's not like Oda makes this hard to see, because Loki is called the Accursed Prince, treated as a walking omen, isolated from childhood, and feared because of a prophecy about him killing his own father. Just like when Fenrir prophesies to kill Odin. He gets imprisoned at the underworld and talks like he's 5 minutes away from nuking Namek. You can feel the lore bonk you over the head with this guy. So the real question is, how do you take a cosmic L and flip it into a classic One Piece story about growth and freedom? If Loki is basically Fenrir 2.0, then there's room for a story where the monster doesn't end the world, but actually helps save it, or at least refuses to be defined by the fear or prophecy that built him. So you can see how we might be following a Fenrir roadmap, except potentially steering toward a good ending rather than an apocalyptic one. But something else to ask isn't just what Loki represents, it's how his arc might realistically resolve by the end of the Elbaf arc, with him becoming the author of his own fate, instead of letting a prophecy or an inherited role dictate his life. And it tracks with how One Piece treats fate. Prophecies aren't destinies, they're just prisons characters learn to break out of. Like with Ace, he wasn't a monster everyone made him out to be just because he was Roger's son. And the same goes for King Harald, who had a hard time not blaming himself for Rock's death. He thought that betraying or not helping his friend, Rox, was so awful that it made sense to do whatever it took to clear the giant's name, even going out of his way to please the world government, because he felt his betrayal was just as bad as the ancient giant's violent history, especially since he had ancient giant blood. So I can envision Loki ultimately redeeming Harald through his own personal growth, discovering a path that neither Harald or Garp could ever dream of. And this path would protect his own freedom while still prioritizing the well-being of the people he loves? If so, then the Harald piece becomes the real pivot. The idea that Loki still killed his father, but did so because Harald may have asked for Loki to rescue him from the influence of Emu, similar to how Gunka was possessed by Emu. Now that it's confirmed that he does end up becoming a Knight of God, it reframes the entire event. In the same manner that Rox, under Emu's influence, pleaded with Roger and Garp to kill him, it turns what happened from a cold-blooded power grab into an act of mercy. And in that framing, I can imagine Loki may have been driven by his father to push his hockey to achieve critical mass, as it's the only means we know so far that could kill, or at the very least bring someone near to death who was granted immortality under Emu's control, as we saw with Rox. And that sort of ambiguity is perhaps the most probable way for Oda to open the door to redeem Loki. So again, if Loki's journey is supposed to reflect Fenrir, this is where the comparison diverges. Fenrir was punished because the gods refused to see anything other than a monster they labeled him, and obviously Loki's life mirrors that. It even makes more sense when you think about this. When Loki says he's going to end the world, the meaning is going to shift by the end of the arc. At first, it sounds like he wants to just nuke the planet, maybe leading into that destructive interpretation of Nika, and further fueled by him mourning Rox because this world sucks so hard that Rox died in it. So I think it makes sense that by the end of the Elbaf arc, that same line takes on a new meaning. He wants to dismantle the version of the world that predetermined his fate, that created the illusions to manipulate people, to oppress them, and what he'll aim to destroy isn't the world itself, but the hidden structures of oppression that shaped it. And by doing that, he taps into the ideal version of Nika Elbaf never fully understood, because everyone's been arguing over what he stands for since forever. He grows into the version of Nika he actually chooses to be, the one who helps free the oppressed from their chains, but as a furry. Perhaps more importantly, Loki's Fenrir influence serves as a compelling narrative vehicle for a tale about a repressed and misunderstood person who aspires to embody Nika's principles for the benefit of others as well as themselves, you know, because of the power of love and shit. There's an even more interesting character who may have truly harnessed the power of love that we could talk about in this video.